And I'm Jake Hoffman.
And this is Congressional Candidate Christine Quinn for District 14. And we're here, and this is Moderately Outraged.
Yeah, so today what we're going to talk about is really kind of the plight of the small business owner. Right now, COVID is causing unprecedented problems around the country. It was already hard enough being a small business owner in this country. Myself, I'm a small business owner. Christine is a small business owner. And we are facing all kinds of different challenges, as you may be aware of. So we really wanted to dig into where the state of small business is and what is going on in small business around the country. So Christine, can you give us just a little bit of background of what your company does and some of the challenges you may be facing right now in the midst of COVID?
Sure. Well, thanks for having me on tonight. And I think this is a really important issue because it's really impacting the whole United States, which literally impacts the world. So when we shut down, well, first of all, I guess I should talk about, I have a small business called My Family Seasoning. We're a wholesale manufacturer of a dry rub. So we make seasonings, or my mother's secret family recipes, and we distribute to over 3,000 grocery stores nationwide. We're in all the commissaries, and so we're actually all around the world. So it's kind of exciting to grow a business from nothing to 16 years later. And finally, literally with Trump's economy, my business was really starting to grow. We expanded, we doubled the size of our warehouse, and then COVID hits.
Yeah, and that's terrible because one of the things that I run a digital media company. I purposely made sure that we only sold digital goods, and when COVID hit, it didn't affect me very much. But I know the people who are in a situation like you, where they have a warehouse and they've got
like a brick and mortar business that when COVID hits, and the government just comes in and tells you you have to shut down. You have no other choice. You can't do anything, and then you're relying on the government to hopefully come bail you out, which is just a bad situation for the whole country.
Just having this conversation the other day with another small business owner about I would not invest in probably half of the businesses out there in the country. I mean, I am surprised. I would never want to go own a restaurant again. I would never want to own anything that the government can just come in and shut down for a year on end.
Right. I mean, it's ridiculous. And it's not even just all the businesses. We're a food manufacturer, so we were able to stay open because we were part of the food chain. So it didn't affect us as far as having to close down. And in our business, we already use masks. We already use gloves. We have sanitation. So we have our SSOPs, or our standard operating procedures, and our sanitation standard operating procedures. So we've kind of we're used to doing that. They wear lab coats, shoe covers. So that didn't impact me so much as that my orders stopped. I got cut. So when the grocery stores got hit with the toilet paper crisis, and what the heck was that all about? Seriously, what did they? I want to know who started the toilet paper crisis.
Well, the media did, of course. I mean, the media started mass panic, which caused really. I mean, it was a panic pandemic more than anything else.
Exactly. I mean, it's ridiculous.
It's still a panic pandemic, right? I mean, one of the things that we didn't title it this because it's not over yet, but COVID, it feels like to me. It's kind of on its last legs. It's on, especially in Florida right now. I mean, we have
the disease itself is not, but the government regulating what you can do during the disease.
And we're approaching closer to
and I think people are just done with it. They've got to open up. You got to put food on your table. You got to get back to work. I mean, you can't just stay shut down. And I think the government overstepped its regulations anyway.
Sure.
They have to be in a scope and time frame. They can't just randomly say we're going to be shut down with no end.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's been our biggest problem with asking elected officials that are out there. Our congresswoman. I asked her point blank actually in the beginning, the first week of this entire pandemic. I said, "What numbers are you looking at? What kind of statistics are you trying to find to give us a time frame, to give us some sort of point of reference as to when are we going to stop all this?" And the answer was blank stares, right? And nobody has any idea when this is all going to end or what we're looking for.
And yet they passed the mask mandate anyway.
Yeah. And then they keep renewing it. And I think that's where they overstep their boundaries completely. Because first of all, there has never been any study in the whole world, find me one, I don't care what anyone says, about wearing masks for long term. Now, I wear masks in our business because we have cinnamon in our seasonings, and cinnamon makes you sneeze, and I don't want you to sneeze in the mix. So we have a mask. So since we have a mask, we have already a PPE program through OSHA, and we have to have an extensive written comprehensive plan for wearing the mask, right? So when they have to wear a mask, you have to also monitor their oxygen intake. You have to have it fitted. You have to send your employee to get a physical to make sure that they can be in a
Really,
PPE.
I didn't know all that.
But you have to do that when there's not COVID. So
Yeah.
talk about,
Exactly.
I know before we've talked about, how many rules you have to follow in your business before you can even get started, like what it costs to get started and start something up.
Well, let's just think about if you're a nail salon or a hair salon or a
All the
barber.
licensing and fees.
Yeah, the licensing and fees, and that's something that Republicans, we've been very vocal about. We want to try to roll back those licensing regulations because they're unnecessary, and they put an unnecessary tax on just ordinary people that may have a trade that want to be able to go and use that trade.
Well, so I want to step back one thing for that, because we do want people to go get trained, to be well trained,
Sure.
to be licensed, and we want people to be in compliance.
Yeah.
So this is not that I don't want to be in compliance. My fear, and why I was even talking about the PPE, is I have to have that comprehensive plan through OSHA, which was an OSHA act that was passed, right? So then my concern is that we have all these grocery stores open and they're letting people work, and there's other businesses that are working and they're wearing these masks all day. And they're not monitoring. They do not have a comprehensive written plan. Did all of those employees go to the doctor and get a physical that they can wear this PPE? So I get stuck with these regulations pre-COVID, and so I don't understand that all of a sudden if the government's going to force it on us to wear a mask, well then every single one of those businesses should now be in compliance.
Yeah.
And the repercussions of that could be the sicknesses, the other illnesses that can happen from breathing in your own CO2.
Yeah.
Well, honestly,
exhale.
I feel like I got a sinus infection from wearing a mask
Well, you
for
will
a
get-
long
there's
period
all
of
kinds of
time on like the
infections.
plane when
Yeah.
we were
Yeah.
traveling.
And it
And
comes.
I can't say that for sure. Can't say that
No,
for
you
sure.
can't,
Let's be
because you
clear.
did.
But it just,
Right.
like I don't certainly know that that's what happened, but I did just feel like after wearing it for such a long period of time, it just didn't feel like it was clean, and it
Yes,
It's
but-
not clean,
wasn't
and you're
dry.
actually breathing in a microscopic black mold, because anytime you have breath going out, you're going to get moisture, and then if that stays in there, and we know people aren't sanitizing
Yeah.
these
Oh,
and
no.
changing them,
Absolutely.
and so you're breathing in that, and so over an extended period of time, it could cause problems.
I don't know
Yeah.
how many times I've now gone to the bottom of my car and tried to find it. It's already been stepped on.
I know,
multiple times,
right?
and you just,
I mean, it's
throw
not
it on.
clean anymore.
And it's it's
So, it's ridiculous.
It's definitely not sanitary, that's for sure. It's just enough to get me in the building and get out.
Well, one of the other big issues too is that that we had with the mask is even getting masks in the country in the first place. If you remember,
That's right, and they were coming from China.
Exactly.
Do we want them to come from China? I mean, they could be putting them.
It's problematic.
Yeah,
problematic, right?
So when we find out that so much of our medical manufacturing is coming from China,
Yes.
that is a major problem, and that's why we as Republicans and Donald Trump. I mean, he was ahead of the game.
Right.
Yeah, pushing for pushing for manufacturing to be moved back to the United States. And I will say, I wasn't so sure if that was 100% the right move or what we needed to do.
Right.
And now I am 100% convinced we
Yeah.
must
Right.
move manufacturing
Well, let's
back to the
talk
United
about
States.
why they moved there in the first place.
Yeah.
Because the EPA put too many, Environmental Protection Agency, put too many rules and regulations on businesses. So we all want to be in compliance, right? And I think we do it better in America to be in compliance and to safely dispose of chemicals and other components that might not be health or safety for us to breathe or eat or get in our food, correct? So with all that, it was more like a taxation on those businesses.
Yeah.
And I've always said we should give them a tax incentive
Yep.
to keep
Yep.
them here.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But we didn't. We needed to give it, because we'll do a better job, right? We can
Yeah.
dispose of those chemicals. But what did we do? Well, we can't afford all that. We want to be in compliance. We can't be in compliance. So up we go. We move to China, and then we have to import them back into our country.
Yeah, it's
and those
makes no
are
sense,
American
yeah.
companies.
Yeah.
Those are American businesses. But then when they got over there, guess what happened? They found out labor was a lot cheaper
lot
too.
cheaper,
Yeah, a
yeah.
lot cheaper.
And they didn't have to stay in compliance. So what do you think happened to all those chemicals?
Well, I mean, they're 100% in the middle of the ocean.
Ocean
somewhere.
coming
Yeah,
back here.
coming
So
back this
thanks
way.
a lot, Nancy Pelosi, because it's coming back into San Francisco Bay.
Yeah.
That's where it's showing up.
Yeah.
Because we live in a round world.
Yeah.
And we live on a breathing earth. And
Well,
so
I
it's
mean, there are some
ridiculous.
people that might disagree with me out there.
It is not flat. We know that for
Yeah,
sure.
we're not that crazy. We're not
Yeah,
that crazy.
yeah,
So, but talk a little bit about again running for Congress, like what it takes to stand behind Donald Trump's platform of bringing back jobs and bringing back manufacturing, and how important that is, and what's something that you could do in order to do it.
You know what? So since that man has been in office, I mean, his shoulders are so big. I'm so grateful. Thank you, Donald Trump, for stepping up to the plate and taking on this country, which is just nuts. And you're right, it is a swamp. But you know what? He needs people in Congress. What is Congress's job? Congress's job is to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America, to protect the Americans from foreign and domestic terrorism. What's going on in our country right now? Domestic terrorism. Massive domestic terrorism.
Yeah.
Where are our Democrats? Where are our Democratic leaders? They're allowing cities to get burnt down.
Well, even our Republican leaders as well.
Well, because they're backing up and they're not, I think they're kind of caught into this mix of like, well, what do we do? Our hands are tied if we do this. It's like a chess game. But at the end of the day, Donald Trump was right. We need to get this manufacturing back. It brings back jobs. We need to bring those jobs here. We'll do a better job. Give them tax breaks. And as a congresswoman, I can support Donald Trump. He is not getting the support he needs from Congress. And we need to flip it red. You know why? Because otherwise we're going to have another 4 years, because Donald Trump will be elected. If Congress stays in the House as Democrat, we're going to have 4 more years of BS. And I was almost going to say the word. I'm a businesswoman. I deal with men all the time. I mean, I'm sorry, but it's a bunch of BS. And we cannot afford as a country to be going through all of these things any longer. It's got to come to a stop.
Yeah, political gridlock is really a major problem.
Because it's our lives they're playing with.
Yeah.
And I'm sick and tired of it. I'm sick and tired of them playing with my life, my livelihood. This is real life. This is here now, real time. And now it's impacting my life, my children. So really I want to preserve the posterity of America.
Yeah.
Our statues, when I started seeing our statues, because honestly, you guys, I was not going to run.
Yeah.
I ran against it before.
Yeah, but that's the thing.
And it was a swamp.
You need good people that are going to come in and are going to understand small business. But seriously,
how businesses run.
But the plight of small businesses, and not small business that's doing like $500 million a year.
Right, that's not a small business, by the way. I'm your small business.
Yeah, but real small businesses that understand that like it is very hard right now to try and compete with an unemployment that is paying people, at some point $25 an hour to not work. So, these are the kind of like crazy policies that get put in, and people seem to think that like they're these good ideas or that they're helpful at the time, and something very, very temporary is one thing, relief is necessary, but this whole thing is caused by government interaction.
And it shouldn't even have shut down in the first place.
Exactly.
You know what? This is BS, because we had a roaring economy. It was the lowest unemployment, especially among blacks and Latinos. Everyone was back to work. Not everyone, but the majority of people were back to work. Businesses were growing. I was finally being profitable. We had just got a Walmart contract and bought a brand new $150,000 piece of equipment. I built a new production room just for it to come into. COVID hits. Guess where my equipment's sitting? New Jersey. Because Bernie Sanders has shut it down, and we can't even get it here.
Yeah.
So how is that impacting?
And there's probably
we already took the loan out.
There's probably so many business owners listening to us right now, but probably have their own stories. And what I'd love for you to do is in the comments below, if you can, spell us out what your story is. If we hear any great stories, we'll definitely pin it to the top of this episode and make sure that your voice is heard too as a small business owner. Because again, this is just one story. I know so many people. I hear them every single day, because when you talk to business owners and you really understand that like we are the backbone of the economy, and not only are we the backbone of the economy, we should be a more major part of the economy. Because if you look at other countries that are out there, there are places like Peru even, they have like 60-70% of their economy is small business.
I mean,
we are not
when we were
there.
in Portugal, it was majority small businesses.
Well, that's what runs the economy.
Yeah.
See, small businesses stimulate the economy. We put money back into it, and we pay the taxes, and the people pay the taxes. But you know what? We need to cut taxes, put more money in the people's pocket. We know what to do with our money better than the government.
Absolutely.
The government doesn't know what to do with my money because they're just giving it away. We need to keep that money here in America, invest that into small businesses, small minority businesses, help them grow. And then we will need to start working on the nuclear family and bringing the nuclear family back together.
Whole other episode.
So what are some final thoughts that you guys have about how we get the economy back open, with COVID, still going on in a sense?
Well, we really have to get our businesses back open. We've got to get salons open 100%. We've got to get restaurants and bars open 100%.
Well, salons are open if you're Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I guess if you're Nancy Pelosi, you can go get your hair done. But the rest of us folks, the real people that pay the taxes that pay her, can't. But anyway, that's another story. But really what we need to do is get these manufacturings up and running so that a supply chain can get back in track. So we're kind of backlogged, and because this happened in March, and now we're coming into September. So that's almost 7 months, right? So we have 7 months of kind of a trickling effect downward, and we need to start building that back up. And we're also coming into Christmas, so that's when I was talking about the nuclear family, and kids are getting back in school, and that's all great. So now we got to get our trucks running, we got to get the supply chain going, we got to get these distribution centers to get that product back out onto the shelf and have choices. Because if we don't, we're going to be Venezuela, we're going to be Cuba, we're not going to have choices. And I almost think it was kind of by intent somehow. I know that's another story for another time, but listen, and the bottom line is, businesses create jobs, businesses stimulate the economy. Donald Trump is a businessman. Yeah. He understands that. He understands the importance of getting it back from China.
No one has gone to bat more for small business than Donald Trump, and just for the economy as a whole. Right. He really has. I mean, other than maybe since Ronald Reagan, no one really has.
You're right.
Done
Absolutely.
More.
Done more.
So I want to say, I want to thank Christine Quinn for joining us.
Welcome.
If you are in Tampa, if you are in Hillsborough County in Congressional District 14 here, first off, vote for Miss Quinn.
Yes.
And then also...
And check out her website at winquinn.com.
And donate if you have some extra money.
Yep, donate to a good cause. We have a great congressional candidate with us. If this episode made you moderately outraged, please go to our Instagram and make sure to follow, We have extra content there throughout the week that isn't just this one weekly show. I want to thank Conservative News Today and BizPack Review for allowing us on their platform once again. We have great followers. You guys have been helping us grow this show immensely so far, and it's only been a few months, so I really appreciate everybody out there today.
Yeah, thank you so much. Have a great night.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.